Good afternoon. Okay, I am getting this in here. This is not something that comes up in my workday, but I'm just adding it today because I'm here and I can. And someone has been asking me more than once, and I apologize for not being able to do this quicker. But my days are really long, and I'm actually here on a weekend doing this because I was here for another reason, case related. So anyway, the question was about what is quality review? So in a nutshell, it is, as I understand it, kind of a random audit that occurs often on initial. Um, I don't know if it only applies to those that adjudication has deemed to be worthy of award, or if they also audit, I'd like to think so, adjudications that have deemed someone worthy of a finding of not disabled, right? So let's assume it goes both ways, but I can't say for sure. But so there is a page I'm gonna link it down below, or in the description, where they talk about quality review process. And they do clarify that the federal quality reviews, that they're national reviews of the disability determination. So that's what happens after your case has gone up for medical workup. And it involves only certified electronic folders, those cases. I suppose that would be as opposed to paper files, which we don't see much of. And when we do, it's very annoying. um, but since I started doing this 20 years ago, things were paper back then. And boy, was that a whole different, ball game compared to what it is now. So anyway, for some reason they only limit it to those. I don't really understand that. Maybe it's because of I don't know. Um, So they say that prior to effectuation of a determination. So this would likely then, I believe, occur before you're even notified of what the DDS has said. Now, I bring up this and I wonder if it's related. Let's say I haven't heard anything lately on a case and it's been up at DDS, that's the medical workup through the state agency, and I contact her or him about something that would be the adjudicator. And they say, oh, it has been completed and sent to the SSA, whatever, they don't really tell you what the result is. They obviously know it because they issued it. And I wonder if that's because when they send it back, it could still maybe at that point get caught up as one of those audits. I had heard years ago that the audits were random and that it was at a rate of about 13%. So there was 13 out of 100 would get this audit review. I've had many cases that have gotten it. And fortunately, as far as I know, the ones I've heard about were not denied. So by and large, I suspect that the auditors find that the adjudicators are not making a grave error in their adjudication. But there's some things you should know because they clarify a few things. So I'm just going to go through it as they describe it because it's a little wordy for me. So when the case is selected for federal quality review, the adjudicating component, so that's where it was with your adjudicator, the person who was sending you, we want a function report, we want a work history report. I have some questions about your treatment. That person, so it's not your field office. The adjudicating component receives an alert via the national DDSS, that's Disability Determination Services System. And so they know that their case has been selected for audit, the one that they decided or determined a result for. So then it gets transferred to a review component. So it's no longer with the adjudicator. It says here, the Office of Quality Review, so that's where it's getting reviewed, right, on this quality auditing type of thing. It reviews sampled cases to ensure that the evidence supports the determination and the determination conforms to the SSA's policies and procedures. So when reviewing the determinations, the quality reviewers use the same policy and procedural guidelines that the adjudicators used. And they do have a link for an explanation of the types of quality review samples. We could maybe look at that in a minute. The Office of Quality Review can return a claim with a deficiency or a technical corrective action. Those are two different things. Technical corrective action is TCA. So it's a deficiency or a TCA, and it goes back to the adjudicating component when the proposed corrections would affect the disability determination or the period of disability if they found you disabled, or when the overall determination does not adhere to certain technical requirements. The adjudicating component, again, that's your adjudicator who made the determination before it got sample audited, may use an informal resolution request process and or submit a request for program consultation for any initial return on a deficiency when the adjudicator does not agree with the review's, the review component's result. So I guess it can go a little back and forth between the two of them when they're not agreeing. One says my determination is correct, and the other one is saying, I think you did this. There are other processes that the adjudicator can go through, apparently, something called an IRR process for disagreements that involve technical corrective actions, those TCAs. However, they can't submit TCA disagreements to the place where they send certain things for a request for a program consultation. That's all like technical stuff in their background, so I don't really care about that too much. They do give descriptions of what the deficiencies can be. And they overall say that a deficiency would be a very specific instance of non-compliance with SSA policies and procedures. So from a claimant perspective, you're not going to have any clue if the adjudicator complied or not complied with SSA policies and procedures when you're going through this. You're just not going to know. So the quality review people categorize the deficiencies as either group 1 or group 2, according to their impact or the potential impact on the determination that was made. And they are either decisional deficiencies or documentation deficiencies. Interesting. I mean, it's a little dry, but anywho, this link I'll give to you shows you group 1 deficiencies, group 2 deficiencies, and there's a link to the TCAs, technical corrective action. I'm just curious about this other link. Bear with me. It's about the types of, let's see. It says that the QA, that's a quality assurance review, measures the accuracy of the adjudicator's disability determinations to determine performance accuracy. Okay. Obviously, they need to do that. That's why there's probably that sampling. Pick out a bunch and see what percentage of those are, erring. And then they have some place to go to try to figure out how to correct that, right? And get that improved. So SSA conducts pre-effectuation reviews. Remember, pre-effectuation before they take effect to meet the statutory requirements under the Social Security Act. Ooh. The Act requires the SSA to review at least 50% of favorable Title II and concurrent with Title 16 initial and reconsideration determinations made by adjudicators on a pre-effectuation basis. Wow. So it's 15% of favorables. 50. So much for the 13. What if that changed? I heard that way back when I was a youngster in this whole scheme. And by the way, Title II is Social Security. Title 16 is SSI. It says the Act also requires the SSA to review at least 50% of favorable. Well, we just said that. I don't know why they're repeating it. All right, I'm going to pass over that. And guess what? Qualified government employee disability claims, disabled worker, disabled widow, and child with disability are also subject to pre-effectuation reviews. Other quality reviews include, let's see, targeted denial review. Oh, what is this? A TDR is a discretionary review of denial determinations. The review uses a predictive model, blah, 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 similar to the one used in the pre-effectuation of the favorables, to identify and select cases based on deficiency-prone case characteristics. Well, I'll tell you something. The number of denials I see that I believe shouldn't be denials on initial and recon, as in not that just because the person's disabled, because that doesn't necessarily mean that they should be awarded under the rules, because if they have no evidence of the disability or very insufficient evidence, I totally understand a denial. And I feel like part of my job is to urge and advise the person on how to improve that evidence so then we can get it to a win. I have a lot of those cases. They've got zippity doo-dah. But I know from talking to them and what's going on with them that they are indeed disabled from performing any job full-time. But they haven't, for whatever reason, gotten sufficient evidence. A lot of the time it has to do with a lack of insurance, lack of treatment, therefore. Sometimes they have the insurance, so they're just not using it, and that's when I give them a swift kick in the butt. I just did a recent video on, and it came up because of something that happened in my practice where a person has been winging treatment for a number of years, not realizing that she could apply for Medicaid. She's been going without insurance, not even knowing that this was an option. It was heartbreaking to me. So the person already filed a claim, but got denied because there is some severe hospitalizations, because the only thing the person could do was go to the ER. But that is not going to paint the whole picture of what the life is like in between, which is really important in a disability claim. So one of the things that I've agreed to work with the person on is to get that Medicaid going. You got to try and appeal if they don't give it to you. And that I will probably jump on the case regardless, and keep working with the person. It's the type of case you can keep reapplying over and over again because it's SSI. And that's, not something I really want to spend my time doing 10 years on a case, but if it helps this young person get there, because slowly but surely, then I'll do it. Because if a person needs it, they need it. Someone's got to help them, right? So it's interesting that they do targeted denial reviews, but I don't see them saying that it's 50% like it is with the awards. Notice that? There's a disability hearing officer review. Okay, so the Office of Quality Review reviews continuing disability review decisions made by that entity prior to effectuation. So these last two I've mentioned, the targeted denial review and the disability hearing officer review, are these discretionary reviews. So they're not apparently, and I would call me suspicious, but I'm thinking they probably not only happen far less than the review, the 50% review. I can't believe it's that high. Like, where do they get this money from to do this? And the staff. I mean, we don't have enough staff processing cases, in the SSA. But anyway, they're both discretionary. So I have a feeling that when times are tight like they are now and the SSA is understaffed, this stuff probably doesn't happen. This might be just one more reason why rarely, if ever, is getting denied on initial a reason to not appeal. There can be remote instances when it is. And I tell people when I think it is, that they might be better off, regrouping and restarting. But, this is crazy. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Quality review. Generally randomly sampled, but that 50%. When did I hear about it being 13? How many years ago was that? And when, if that was so, when did it change? No idea. But I'm reading right here, and I'm going to link this to you guys so you can see that 50% apparently get reviewed. Interesting. Okay. Fascinating. All right. I'll leave you with that. Happy weekend, guys. I'll talk to you later.